everyone, Zach from Out There Vans in Grand Junction, Colorado, and today I want to walk you through a huge upgrade for your transit van. Let's jump right into it. Those of you with a transit van or a van of any make or model are very likely familiar with the flimsy door cards that come from the factory. On the sliding doors, some require upper panels or rear door panels. In the transit van, thankfully, there's only one that is this flimsy corrugated plastic material. From Out There Vans, we now have an upgrade available for the transit van. These panels have been very popular as we've been selling a ProMaster upgrade kit for about a year now. We've had a lot of requests for the transit door panel upgrade kit, and we now have it ready to go. So before we get started on installation and more details on this, I will tell you there's a link down in the description below to shopouttherevans.com, where there's a direct link if you are interested in purchasing one of these panels for your transit van. This panel is CNC cut right here in-house at Out There Vans, actually on the machine behind me. And it is cut out of 6mm or roughly 1/4 inch Baltic birch plywood, a premium grade plywood. Now these panels ship unfinished, so you can go ahead and clear coat it or paint it to match your DIY van build if that is something you are pursuing. But it allows you to be able to customize these panels to really match the aesthetic of your van build. Now to install this panel, we're gonna head out in the van here in a second, but I'll point out a couple tools that I recommend having. So for one, the majority of the fasteners in the van are these pull-out trim fasteners that are pretty standard in the automotive industry. To remove these, I recommend having both a flathead screwdriver to initially pop open the snap, and then a trim removal tool that will allow you to slide it in and pop it out of the hole. This is not necessarily necessary. You can do that with a flathead screwdriver. This just allows you to have a tendency to break less of them, as you're going to want to use them for reinstalling this new panel. Additionally, there are 4 screws at the bottom that are a T25 bit. I'm using a ratchet today, but you could just use a T25 drill bit or a screwdriver, either way. All right, so after I've gathered all my tools, I'm now out in the van and I'm going to show you a little bit more what we are working with here. So the panel we have is hanging out over here, and this panel is going to be replacing that flimsy black panel that I showed you inside of the shop. These sliding doors are the same lower configuration on all wheelbases and roof configurations of the Ford Transit from 2015 to current model year 2024. So that means low roof, medium roof, and high roof vans, the 130, 148, and 148 extended wheelbase. So this one panel is very versatile across all makes. I mentioned earlier, this panel is CNC cut, which is very useful given all of the crazy shapes, curves, and cutouts on this panel shape, as well as all of the holes are already pre-drilled to match up with the factory holes over here. Now I'll point out a couple of the holes will not be used when installing the new panel, just because it is a much sturdier material. It doesn't need quite as many push snaps. So we've eliminated 2 push snaps, which in my opinion is great, because if you are using those push snaps, it gives you a couple oopsies if you do break 1 or 2 of them as you are uninstalling the panel. So when you put the new one up, you aren't running short. So on this panel, I've got 4 T25 Torx bits on the lower section, and then I've got a good dozen plus of these little snap bits. Now to remove these snap bits, they've got a divot on both sides of the snap. I'm going to go in with a flathead screwdriver and raise this divot up. And now this is where I'm going to go in with my trim pulling tool, slide it underneath the base, and it'll slide right out. You can now see it's in 2 parts. There's kind of the insert that is flexible, and then the exterior portion that we slid out is what you slide in place to expand the snap once it makes it within the frame of the door here. It's okay if these come apart. You can easily slide it back in before you go back to installation. I usually just put them lightly back together as I pop them all out. Now, as I mentioned, you also can do this job without one of these trim pulling tools. Just means you have to do this first portion and then jimmy your flathead screwdriver behind the snap too. It works fine. You're less likely to damage them, however, with one of these trim pulling tools, as it grabs around both sides of the snap for nice even pulling pressure. So now I'm going to go through, remove all these snaps, remove my 4 T25 bolts at the bottom, and I will see you in a minute once I get all those complete. And now we move in with the new panel. This panel, I have a very similar approach for the first piece to go in, which will be a push top. Now with these push tops, to install them, make sure this little end plunger is as far out as possible. That way you can really squeeze these together to go in the small holes that you're inserting them in. If this is in a little bit and extruding out on these tabs, you will not be able to fit them into the holes within the frame here. So I'm going to push it through the first portion here and just align the panel where I want it, find my hole, and I'll just go ahead and set my first one. And now from here, I'll repeat that process. And I like to start at the top so it's all nice and supported, and then just work my way down and across as I'm setting all these panels back into place. That took me approximately 3 minutes to go ahead and stick all those fasteners back in it, as well as attach those 4 screws at the bottom. You'll notice in my last little portion of the video, I did have to have the door cracked open to access this bottom right corner one, but plenty of space with that door spaced out a tiny bit. So with all of our unfinished wood products, I do recommend giving it a quick finish sand when you do finally get it to your door before installation, but especially if you plan on painting it or staining it, that is a very nice feature to just give yourself the best looking product possible. So as you can see, the factory push snaps attach in here and hold this panel in very nice. If you have any questions about this door panel or installation, feel free to write them down in the comment section down below. Again, head on over to shop.outtheirvans.com. That's where you'll be able to find this door panel for sale. If you're interested in our full custom van conversions, our component installations like these door panels, rooftop fans, etc., head over to outtheirvans.com. You'll find a contact form from there. And then as always, we love to see you in the next video. So hit subscribe so you can see these products, projects, other vans coming around the shop. And we hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.